This we ask through your Son, Jesus Christ.
Let's go, let's round! Let's go!
Hello guys, today we're going to review the movie Sinagtala, directed by Michael Sandejas. When director Michael Sandejas burst into the Philippine movie scene with his twin music-themed indie classics tulad ng Dati and Dinig Sana Kita, many were giddy in anticipation for his future outputs. Tulad ng Dati and Dinig Sana Kita brought an air of freshness, intelligence, and heart onto the silver screen, which made his directorial voice very much welcome in Philippine cinema. That is why many were left scratching their heads when he stopped making movies. People were wondering why a talent like Sandejas, who knows his craft well and has encyclopedic knowledge of film history, would choose to stay in the sidelines and not direct for more than a decade. With Sinagtala, Sandejas' hiatus comes to an end. The movie is about the members of the band Sinagtala as they cope with their disbandment and the death of one of their bandmates. Rayver Cruz is Reggie, the vocalist of the group, who wants to reform the band as he contends with money troubles and a desire to make his daughter proud. Rhian Ramos is June, the drummer, who is an adopted daughter of a Chinese businessman who wants her to inherit the family company. Matt Lozano is Isko, lead guitarist, and the gay member of the group who lives under the shadow and expectations of his macho father, played by basketball legend Benji Paras. Arci Munoz plays Carla, bassist of the band who has resorted to prostitution to help take care of her daughter who has special needs. Glaiza De Castro is Paula, the rhythm guitar player who is suffering from a deadly disease. Sinagtala fortunately has a very competent ensemble in terms of acting. No one among the main cast stood out like a badly tuned instrument. It also helps that they are talented musicians in themselves, so their being a band was very believable. Now, if I had to choose who stood out, it would be Lozano and Ramos. I first noticed Lozano in the adaptation of Voltes 5. I saw him as being the emotional center of that show, and he brings that in Sinagtala with a performance that feels natural. Rhian Ramos for me had the best scene in the movie when she first met her biological father Primo, played by the always dependable Ricky Davao. That scene can be used in film classes as Ramos was able to channel a multitude of emotions in that scene. Sadness, joy, anger, disappointment, confusion, fear, and disdain were all over Rhian's face as she confronted Primo. The support cast also did a good job with Benji Paras providing the right mix of toxic masculinity and fatherly love. Sandejas in his movies has always aimed for the heart, and in Sinagtala, his aim is generally true. He was able to execute the dramatic scenes without going overboard. He does tiptoe the line into schmaltz, but he generally stays on the right side of sentimentality, even adding a little humor to prevent emotional scenes from being too overbearing. Matt and Arci's encounter inside a hotel room is proof of this, as Matt lovingly insults Arci during the traumatic and heavy scene. Sandejas also has a penchant for subtext, always peppering his scenes with added layers of meaning. The scene between Matt Lozano and Benji Paras as Matt asks Benji whether the latter hates gays shows this, as the posters of Benji's vicious manly dunks during his pro basketball days stand between them like a wall. Fate and redemption also mark the works of Sandejas, and that is also evident in Sinagtala as De Castro's character talks about life's purpose through a video she made for her bandmates. Here, Sandejas is in danger of being too didactic, as I feel that he was using De Castro's character, Paula, as his avatar, but he gets away with it as Pau's situation gave him a way out. Pau, being terminally ill, gave her the license to be more circumspect about life. Those who follow Sandejas will also be rewarded, since Sandejas seemed to be inspired by Pixar and Marvel's trademark of placing various Easter eggs in their movies. Try to look for Sandejas' Stanley moment in the movie and try to guess the callbacks to his previous two movies tulad ng Dati and Dinig Sana Kita. Being a film about a band, I was hoping that Sinagtala would have a good soundtrack, and I am happy to know that the film delivers on its promise of good music. And I expected nothing less since Francis Reyes was the brains behind the music of the movie. The song Laho, which opened the movie, is anthemic, and I won't be surprised if it will become a staple of drunken videoke nights among friends. It is that good. Forever Blue, the song that Rhian and Rayver sang as a duet, is touching, and their performance reminded me of that masterful duet between Agot Isidro and Jet Pangan of Kahit Ika'y Panaginip Lang from Tulad ng Dati, which up to this day makes me teary-eyed whenever I watch it. Of course, with more than a decade of absence, it is understandable that Sandejas would have some rust. There were some things that concerned me about the movie. The first is about the stature of the band during the peak of their success, whether they were really famous. There were inconsistencies with how various characters treated the members of the band. I noticed this when a passenger of Reggie mentioned that she liked their song, and she even told him that the vocalist of that band committed suicide. For a band to have urban legends sprouting about them would have to be pretty popular for the urban legend to spread out, but the passenger did not recognize Reggie. What are the chances of someone liking a song of a band and telling urban legends about the band, failing to recognize the vocalist? There was no major physical change in Reggie's character that would warrant the non-recognition. It is perfectly possible, but in the case of Sinagtala, it made me confused. Another scene that concerned me was when Benji Paras did not recognize Carla as the bandmate of Isko and even gave her as a gift to his son. There was a line of dialogue about Benji not paying attention, but it is a little unbelievable for a father to not know the bandmates of his son, especially if the band has their song playing on the radio. And what made me really scratch my head was the one-on-one basketball duel between Lozano and Paras. Matt's character challenged Benji, and they had a bet. If Matt won, Benji would have to accept his son's homosexuality. If Benji won, Matt would have to get married and produce children. The game lacked energy, which lessened the tension. Matt and Benji did not look like they were playing a high-stakes game. They looked like they were just having a shoot-around and played zero defense. Absolutely none. The scene would have been better if Benji was really physical and competitive against Matt to make the winning basket have more emotional weight. Another thing which caught my attention, which is just me having silly thoughts, is how Robert Senya looked and acted. He reminded me of Leo Martinez every time he was present. While the rust was there, Sandejas' talent still came out brightly. Sinagtala is a film that deserves its audience. Like riding a bicycle after not doing so for a long time, there would be some wobbly sequences, but the moment muscle memory kicks in, one would be zooming on the road. Sinagtala is a movie with a director who has come to terms with his fate and is sharing it with people. The audience would do well to listen to Sandejas and watch the film. It is inspiring with lessons worth keeping. It is a moving time at the cinemas. The Philippine movie industry needs a talent like Sandejas making more films. So that's the review for Sinagtala, directed by Michael Sandejas. This has been Kulas for Tambay Reviews. Thank you for watching. Keep on playing.